Welcome to the MSP Corner podcast. Before we kick off our show, we would like to share what our main objective is at the MSP Corner. Our main goal is to help CEOs build profitable and self-sustainable IT service firms. We are not just providing tools for IT firms, we will be sitting in meetings with you to ensure your IT firm stays on track. The first area we are focused on, strategic sales. IT firms are stuck selling technology or IT support. We will provide you with the blueprint so you position your firm as an added value to your prospects. We will have framework on how to sell value so you influence the prospect into selecting your firm. The second area we see many IT firms struggle in is marketing. 90+% of businesses rely on antiquated marketing methods. The most popular choice, word of mouth. We have proven methods on how to attract the ideal prospect. Our framework will include how to become the online authority and be the business influencer for an industry. The third component to our package, scaling. IT firms walk away from opportunities because they lack the bandwidth or skill set to scale. We have lined up reputable businesses so our members can hire on-demand resources that will allow them to scale their business. The fourth area we will offer help in, selecting the right tools. In order to deliver value, you need the right tech stack. Our platform will offer information on products that are the ideal choice for MSPs. The fifth area we will offer help in is with documentation. Templates are a critical component when building an MSP. We will have contracts, proposals, SOWs, collateral, and much more in the template section. You will have every document you need to start up your managed IT service business. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go to our next podcast.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining podcast show number 11. I am your host, Fernando Leon, and I am joined by my co-host, Gregory Morawiecz. And we got two topics we're going to discuss today. And the first one is going to be the RMM tool we use at our MSSP. And we have a very interesting company that's going to be joining the fold on the platform, the MSP Corner. And we'll be talking about a new lead generation firm during this podcast. But let's get this show going here. So, Gregory, I got some questions about the RMM tool, and then I'll start in on the lead generation company we're talking to. But I want to be sure on the name or the name of the tool we use, which is N Central. Is that correct?
That's right.
And it's a tool that's developed by, well, it was developed by Enable, but now it's owned by SolarWinds. Is that correct?
Well, there was a time when SolarWinds was sticking their brand on everything, and then something bad happened to SolarWinds. They got hacked, and then they reverse course and they
Ah,
stopped branding everything SolarWinds because I guess they thought their brand was toxic, and they reverted back to Enable being the brand that N Central falls under.
gotcha, gotcha. That was I remember that happening a few years back, and good for them. It was a good move because branding is so critical to your marketing efforts, and obviously brand recognition is important when you're attracting prospects and keeping your clients. So but do you want to dive in a little bit, because I know you were kind of involved, you got sort of involved, or you had some insider knowledge? Because I know we've been working with Enable, right, or N Central for almost 2 decades. So what can you share with the group on what happened back then?
Yeah, back then there wasn't a lot of RMM tools. It was very slim, and you know, there weren't a lot of ones that would allow you to do multi-tenancy. That was another thing that was kind of new to the arena. So multi-tenant, RMM tools were not abundant back then. and I chose this one because it just had it was most feature rich. It had a good I like their support. A lot of reasons why we picked it, but the number one reason was because it was multi-tenant.
Well, yeah, I know, and I know how important multi-tenant is. But do you have any insider knowledge on the what security breach they had? Right? Yeah, I
Oh, for
remember.
SolarWinds?
Yeah, for SolarWinds.
Yeah,
What happened
just
with all that?
there was code that was in their software that had been there for quite a long time, um, and it would allow you to compromise their stuff. And this was the SolarWinds platform, Orion, I believe. So if you had Orion agents installed on some of your computers, they were not were they vulnerable. I think there was some code insertion in there for some period of time that was like hack code.
Yep.
So it was a debacle. It didn't affect Enable or N-Central, but like I said earlier, their brand was tainted by that whole thing. How a security company could have gone like 5 or 7 years with that kind of a hack inside their software was amazing.
Yeah, that is unfortunate how all that went down. But it's these hackers, man. They're so they're crafty, right? I mean, nothing is 100%, but to go that long with not having any idea of what's going on your network is just not good. That's just not a good
It was all
thing.
around bad because for the length of time the exploit existed and
Yep.
that they're a security company,
Yep.
it was a total black eye for them. And like I said, they retreated from pushing their brand out on all the products that they did mergers and acquisitions on.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, talk to me about the RMM tool. How happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Because I know not every RMM tool is perfect. I know they all have their little issues, and there's never a perfect tool when it comes to the RMM platform. So, what on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
Well, I just got a call today from Datto, and they were trying to upsell me on their RMM tool. They were
Okay.
pushing super hard on their RMM tool, and they were asking me why would I stick with N-Central? Why would I not move over to their tool right away? They were offering me 70 cents an endpoint. They were trying to get me to move over. We'll give you 3 free months of side by side service. We'll have an implementation team help you. And they were just asking why would you stay with them? Because I'm giving you the farm, move over. They're pushing me hard on the sales front. And
Sure.
I said to them a couple things. Number one, I would have to retrain all my techs. So all the techs we have, all the knowledge they have, all the training they've taken for N Central, if I moved over to Datto, I would lose it all.
Yep.
So that's a lot of hours. If you have 10 techs and they each take an hour, that's an hour of billable time that they're not going to be available to you. It doesn't take an hour. It takes an hour per class. You have to take sometimes 7 to 10 classes.
Ooh.
So that's hundreds
Oh.
of hours of lost productivity. And if you're charging 150, $200 an hour, that's tens of thousands of dollars just to get a rudimentary knowledge back onto your techs. Your techs might have been using N Central or Enable for decades or 10, 5, 6 years. So if they don't have that skill set anymore, if it's useless, you lose all that tribal knowledge, all that experience is gone
Yep.
by moving over to a new RMM. So when you pick your RMM, you're going to need to pick it for a long term and think about that long term.
Yeah, no, no, it makes a lot of sense. But again, if you had to give it on the happy scale, 1 to 10, what would you give it based on your experience with the tool? What kind of score would you give it?
I've used all of the different tools. I've used Ninja, ConnectWise. I've used Datto and Central. It comes in around the middle of the pack, maybe a 5 or a 6 out of 10
Okay.
is what I would give it. It's not perfect by any means. SolarWinds as well. I've used that. It's way more in detailed in depth. SolarWinds is not multi-tenant, so you can't use that really in our MSP environment. I've used N Central Online, the online edition. I've used all of it, and they all pretty much come in at the middle of the pack. I give a 5 or 6 to all of them
Gotcha.
because they're just there's a lot of limitations each of them have that the others don't. If they could
Okay.
all be combined together, they might get an 8 or a 9 out of 10. But you can't do that. You can't combine them all. So
Well, just to give our audience a little, pulling the curtains back, just to give everybody a little sneak peek. We also work at Single Point of Contact. It's an MSSP, and we're a white label provider. So we're working with lots of IT firms, and the IT firms that don't want to implement our tools, they have their own tools in place, which is fine. Our team has to work with those tools because we're not going to force anybody to rip everything out. We're not ConnectWise and use our tools. So we will manage what they have in place. But the unique thing is Gregory and his team have a lot of, experience working with different RMM tools. And yeah, his opinion is should be valued and taken because yeah, he's working with quite a few of RMM tools, and they're all not perfect. They all have their own problems, and you should just pick one, stick with it, get your team to know it inside out, and stick with it. Just the grass. If someone says the grass is greener on the other side, don't believe them because they're all basically the same platform. But yeah, that's great to know, Greg. And a lot of these guys that are on the break fix model, they're stuck on that break fix model. They are looking to make that transition to the MSP model. And that's something we can help them with on the MSP corner because they want to know, well, if I transition to the MSP model, I don't know what I should charge. I don't know what fixed rate I should bill. Does T&M still fall into place? And that's where we can help you guys. But you will yours there's going to be three tools you're going to absolutely need if you plan to be an MSP. It's the for sure the RMM tool. Well, and a PSA tool because you want everything working with billing and inventory and your documentation. And you're going to need a backup, right? If you want to follow best business practices, you're going to want that backup tool so you can restore data if anything goes wrong. And you're going to want an EDR or XDR in place. Those are the bare minimums if you want to deliver a managed IT service model. And one of the things I'm going to encourage a lot of you is that when you land your first client or you land a new client, you're a break fix and you've sold them on the MSP model. You've determined your fixed rates. You know which tech stack you're going to implement. You're getting ready to implement it. The next phase is to deliver, right? A quality service, deliver what you've promised, send them after 3 months of invoices. You now need to move to the next phase of delivering a SOC solution because you have now built you have built trust, you've built credibility, and you've delivered a fixed cost model to a client. So the next logical step is to deliver a SOC solution. And you know what? We'll talk about that, the evolution from the break fix to the transitioning to either a help desk, a remote help desk, or a MSP model. But the next logical step would be to a SOC service. That is a given. You want to increase your monthly recurring revenue, you need to implement a SOC solution. All right. I pretty much hit every bullet point when it comes to the RMM tool. Greg, did you want to share anything else? Because I want to talk about our next topic, which is the lead generation company. It's pretty exciting. So tell me what's anything else you want to touch on?
yeah, when you choose your RMM tool, you don't want to just go in there without some sort of idea about what you want. You
Yep.
got to do your research because, like you said, it's something you're going to pick and you're going to stick. Because, like I was talking about, you got to retrain your team. Then, when you do a rip and replace on your RMM tool, you got to go to all the machines in your environment. You got to retool them for the new application, and that could be disruptive to your whole entire organization. When you get into the hundreds, if you're in the tens or the 15s or the 20s, it's not that bad. But if you're in the hundreds and then you go into the thousands of endpoints, then it's going to start being a labor. It's going to be a lot of hours moving over, lift and shift to a new provider. So when you pick your thing, make sure you have what you believe is going to be the winner in the long run. Fortunately for us, I picked N Central. It's lasted long over 20 years. There's been many that haven't. So picking one of those would have been a catastrophic. I remember a lot of different RMM systems that just went by the wayside. Another one that's lasted a really long time is Manage Engine. Manage Engine's lasted a really long time in N Central. Those are the two really the only ones I could think of that have lasted. But we actually started out with a product called Cerberus. And Cerberus was a great RMM tool, but we moved over to N Central when we needed multi-tenancy. So yeah, even then, if I'd stuck with Cerberus, we'd be in trouble to this day. So yeah, pick the right thing, but do your research, do your homework, pick the right one.
Got it. Got it. No, that's great to know. Well, let's jump into the next topic, which is the lead generation, and hopefully these guys stay tuned because I know they hate the topic lead generation. I don't know why. I don't know what the deal is with lead generation, but I know that a lot of audience members have been burned by marketing firms. So, but this is a new model that I developed. Like I developed the concept, and it was all based on a conversation I had with a CEO of another MSP who is brilliant with SEO. He's really good. He studied it. He's built his own campaigns for his own MSP. But I was talking to him because he wants to generate another stream of revenue for his company. And I was explaining to him this new model. I said to him, look, you have the ability to attract businesses to come to your landing pages organically. This is not PPC. So he's attracting uh, companies throughout the United States. And I've explained to him, I go, look, what you want to do is create a package, have MSPs sign up. They sign up to be on your list of MSPs that want leads. They get to pick one city they get leads from. So as leads come in, these are legitimate leads where they're meeting with the CEO, well, they're meeting with a C level or a VP level executive who has reached out to him because they need IT services and they need a help desk, they need an IT service, they need on-site support or a SOC. So his plan is to offer that lead to, let's say it's in Denver, Colorado. Well, if an MSP has signed up to be on his list of MSPs that want leads, he will reach out to that MSP and say, "Look, here's a profile of the firm that is looking for IT support in your area. They want the following. They are this industry, they are this company size, and here's the service. Here's the information, all the information on the company. If you want this, it's going to cost a specific dollar amount, right? He's just going to put a dollar amount. He hasn't decided on what that is going to be, but this could work for a lot of IT firms that have tight budgets that can, don't have the budget to hire a marketing firm or a sales staff to make cold calls. They can just sign up, and when leads come in, hey, it could be 2 leads, could be 3 leads a month, right? And they can say no, and they don't have to pay to be in this service. At least that's the way he's working it out right now. That's the way he's explained it to me. He's like, look, just let's build up a list of MSPs that want to be on this beta testing platform, and he'll have leads handed over to. He'll start handing leads off to these firms, and he wants to guarantee 100% satisfaction. So, and this is how it would work: is the lead is handed off to the client, to the MSP. MSP pays for, he obviously pays for it after he says, yes, I want this profile. This profile is ideal for me. I have 5 other financial service customers. Let me have it. Now, if the MSP calls into the CEO and the CEO says, oh, I made a mistake, I don't really need IT services, he will refund the money. But if if the MSP does meet with the CEO, the meeting goes great. He requests a proposal. The MSP delivers a proposal, but he chooses another MSP, he will not refund your money. I mean, what do you think about a model like that?
Well, I'll tell you why we hate marketing.
Yeah, tell me.
For the first reason is you remember when people sold call lists, right? Remember that?
Yes. Oh
You
yeah.
would go, "Oh, we have this database of SharePoint customers. You want it?" And you're like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And you buy it, right? 500
Yep.
bucks for a
Yep.
1,000 names.
Yep.
Well, guess what? The next guy that they emailed who said yes, he gets the same list. And the
Yep.
next guy gets the same list and the next guy. And then you call up this guy and they've got like bulwarks and defensive firing squads and firewalls set up to stop from people from calling them because
Yep.
they're getting hammered
Yep.
with calls, and what you've bought is a saturated list of of garbage, right? And it'll
Yep.
never work out for you. So you're kind of like, those are just, you see that as a scam moving forward, when in reality it's not a scam. They just shouldn't have sold that list more than once, and that just doesn't make a lot of sense, right? To a
Yep.
marketing firm that has a bunch of names that of SharePoint, they want to sell it to as many people as they can. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to buy lists or to buy leads, which might be saturated, right? You don't know
Well,
the saturation level of that lead.
here's the thing. And this is what he agreed, because him and I had a conversation today. I told him this is going to be very important if you want to keep your MSPs happy. Is you have one MSP per city. It's not like he's going to sell that lead to 10 other MSPs in Denver. He's going to sell it to one because it increases the chances of them closing the opportunity a lot higher. If he sends it to 10 MSPs, I wouldn't want to promote that type of business. I just don't agree with that. It's greedy to me. It would be greedy, and it just it just makes the competition so just makes it so much stiffer, right? It's just going to be tougher to land that opportunity. And he's given me his word that he would not do that. So, and I trust him. He's a good guy. So I think that once he develops this platform, I think it will work out for him and his MSPs. And I think he would have his hands full if he had, even 20 MSPs sign up. Right? He's got to attack 20 markets, which he says it shouldn't be a problem because this is a scalable model. But not all cities are going to generate leads for every 20 MSPs. So half of them might get leads, a handful of leads each month. Who knows? It just depends on how big the market is. So
Well, I'll tell you the second reason I hate marketing people.
go ahead.
And it's because of the word you just used a bunch of times, a lead. You
Yeah.
know, the classification of a lead, and we've gone over legal documents where they've described leads. And we've seen that we kind of maybe weren't experienced enough at the time to understand what a lead is. Now, a lead is someone who says yes to something you ask.
Yeah.
Basically, are you looking for a new IT provider? Yes. Does that mean that they're going to make a decision in the next 6 months to a year? No, it doesn't. But it's still a lead. Even though they're not going to make a decision for an entire year, it's kind of like, well, that's not really a lead to me. But if you read there's no fine print that says the customer has to make a decision within 3 to 5 weeks, because no one can promise that kind of stuff. So then there's that lead. There's also the lead of a looky-loo, someone who's just shopping you out, right? They want all the information they can get, but they're never going to make a decision. They just want to really make sure that they're not getting screwed by their current IT provider. So
Sure.
that person's a lead. I mean, there's so many ways you can classify a lead. A person that gets a proposal could be a lead. We've seen it 100 times where it's just a false flag. It's like a proposal amongst 70 proposals, right? And you're like,
Sure.
well, why did I do that for? It is a lead technically, right?
Sure.
Those
Sure.
government websites said, oh, we got thousands of leads, but you'll never win any of them
Yeah.
because they're all going to the incumbents. So, I mean, yeah, that's another reason. So, first, there's saturation of the marketplace. And then there's the fact that leads don't make any sense when you define them.
Sure. Sure. Well, I think that there should be with any with any type of venture, there's going to be risk, right? So you're either going to sit around waiting for referrals to come in, or you buy meetings, right? If I could buy guaranteed meetings, I would buy them all day. That's just me, because I know how to sell value. I know how to sniff out a legitimate opportunity or a legitimate lead, because you just have to ask the right questions, and we'll have those questions on the MSP corner, by the way. So you have to know which questions to ask to make a decision, because you're right. Let's say the guy is shopping you out, right? And he is the CEO. And one of my questions is, this is my very first question when I'm meeting with the CEO of a prospect. Why are we meeting? Well, I have an IT firm that is currently in place. I go, are you happy? Are you happy with that IT firm? And he's going to have to answer honestly. CEOs will not lie to you. They won't lie to you. They'll say, "Yeah, I'm happy, but I want to get a quote for, seeing if they are competitive, if I'm not getting ripped off." Right? They will tell
Right.
you, right? They
Right.
won't lie, because my next question is going to be tough. It's even going to be tougher, because they're going to say, if they decide to lie, I'm going to ask, "Okay, if you're unhappy, what are you unhappy about?" Right? Well,
Right.
the response time is terrible, or they're reactive, they're not proactive, and they take too long to solve problems, right? These guys, see, just an FYI for everybody in the audience, these guys are people of integrity. They're not going to lie. I'd say 99% of them won't lie. You will have 1% that are just scummy CEOs. They're out there, but very far few in between. So just asking them a few questions can determine, hey, this is a legitimate lead. If it's not a legitimate lead, if you feel like, oh, this guy's just pricing me out, kick it back. Send it back to Richard. Richard will gladly refund you, because he wants happy customers. And I'm not, and I know for a fact, because MSP CEOs of MSPs, they will come at my throat. They'll say, Fernando, why are you promoting this company who's giving us crap? I'm going to go back to Richard and say, Richard, I can no longer promote you. This is not good for our members. We want people to deliver, and we don't want to deliver crap. So we're done promoting your firm. And that's a commitment I'm going to make to the members, because we want quality companies working with us, right? We want to help our MSPs grow. We want to help them thrive. And obviously, we want to see them succeed, because we do, as far as my opinion is biased, but I believe we have the toughest position in a company. We have to keep the network up. We have to keep people happy. We have to make sure everything is updated. We have to protect the network. We have to back up the network. We have to back up the data. Everything lies on our shoulders.
Well,
If
I'll tell you the third reason I hate marketing people.
okay, give
And
me your
you just
just
mentioned it all.
sure.
I have to do all this stuff. I don't have time to ask questions, secret questions, which have secret answers. I don't have the time for that. And
Here,
I don't even have the experience or like you said, oh, at the MSP corner, we'll have all the answers for you. And I'm like, where? I don't even know what to look up because I don't know how to sell.
come to the
How am
webinars.
I going to
When you
sell?
go to webinars, you'll be able to learn how to sell value. You'll know what questions to ask. So there's no excuses. There's no excuses. When you're going to be on the platform, you'll be able to find this type of stuff. You'll be able to go to the sales area and you can see plenty of videos on how to sell value, what questions to ask. We'll have lists for you to download. So there's not excuses. You know what you sound like? You sound like Nordstrom's. That's exactly who you sound like. You sound like Mr. Nordstrom's. Like, oh, I want customers to walk up to my cash register and say, hey, Mr. Gregory, I would like to order sock services. Can you please sell that to me today? That's not how
Yes.
life works in this B2B business.
Why
That's a
not?
fa- you're in a euphoric fantasy land. That's not how it works out here. It just doesn't. You need to learn how to attract. If you have limited budgets and you don't have the ability to market yourself, this lead generation will be a nice option for you to at least get something coming in other than word of mouth referrals because it's low risk, it's low budget, but you get quality lead. You will get quality leads. At least that's what Richard's telling me. And
Well, you'll
for
find
for
out soon enough.
we will find out soon enough. I'm pretty confident Richard will deliver, but I don't want to sell this fantasy of, oh my God, I'm going to get $1 million leads. No, guys, these are 5-figure leads. You're going to generate $2,000 to $10,000 a month. All right.
And that's what we
So
should expect in the level and size of MSPs that we are. We shouldn't
yeah,
be expecting $1 million deals because they just want so much like tail end stuff. Like, tell us the other $5 million companies you work for. Well, you'd be my first one. So I don't have five. So they're
no,
just going
this
to
is
boot you
this
to the
this
curb.
is this is going to be for MSPs that are established, have referrals because referrals are important. But here, let's do some numbers. Let's just do some numbers. All right. Let's say on average a lead is going to generate $3,000 a month. Okay, that's $36,000 a year. All right. And let's say you get 10 leads, 10 meetings a month. I would expect you to close 20%. So that's 2 new customers a month. So that's
That's
6,000
optimistic. I feel like that's optimistic. I'd
when you
say
be
one a month.
okay, even one a month. Okay, so let's say one generates $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year. So you have paid for 10 leads, let's say on average 6 grand for those 10 leads. So you're going to get your money back within 6 months. Not a bad return on investment because after 6 months, it's all gravy for you because you can get that client to sign up for a 2 or 3 year agreement. And we're going to talk about why long-term agreements are so important to the value of your MSP. But I'm changing topics here, so let's just stay focused on lead generation. But would you say those are bad numbers on a surface level? Would you say that's not bad, or I would want the leads to be lower? What would you say to that?
No, I think that a 6 month ROI is okay. It's not optimal, but those 10 opportunities, if you close one, you may have an option in the future of possibly closing a second one, and you might get a 2 lead month or a two opportunity month where you close, and then it's totally worth it. So you haven't really described something called a pipeline, because what will happen is you won't be closing all 10 leads. You'll be having a pipeline, right? And in your pipeline, you're going to follow up with those customers, potential customers, and maybe offering them things in the future that they might pique their interest. They might come to you one month and say, we are looking for a person who can provide remote SOC services, And then, like you said, if you don't have a sock already and then you get one, you can go back to that customer and say, we have a sock, fully functional sock now. It's been in production for 3 or 4 months. Would you like to get a price for it? And you might even be able to go back and mine your pipeline. But you can make a pipeline, and it might increase the amount of opportunities you close from 1 to 2 or 3, depending on how aggressive you are with your services.
Well, I think that every opportunity, let's say you get to, yeah, you're right. You got to, well, when you build a pipeline, it's going to take time, right? Because you're just not going to close everything within 30 to 60 days. You do need to go through a process, right? The workflow should be: lead comes in, enter it into my CRM, enter the date I contacted them, enter the date I sent the proposal, enter a follow-up date, follow up. Oh, they still don't have an answer. Create another follow-up appointment. And then you stay in touch with them via email. And then after you've entered them into your CRM, hopefully your CRM has an integration tool with your email campaign, because then you can start sending out emails educating your audience, right? Because you may not win that opportunity today, but if you stay in touch with them, you keep them educated, you talk to them about security, backup, disaster recovery, et cetera, et cetera. You just keep them, in a rotation of educating them, staying engaged. It's called the 3 E's: educate. What are the 3 E's again?
I don't know.
Educate, execute, and it's oh, there it is. It's engage. You keep them engaged with your newsletter. You educate them, right? And you got to consistently execute. Because if you do this once every 6 months, that's not going to get you anywhere. You got to keep them engaged, whether it's once a week or once a month, but you got to stay in front of your audience so they know you still exist, so they know that you have other offerings. You're keeping them up to date on the latest security threats, et cetera, et cetera. Upcoming webinars. Hey, you've segmented your list, and you send out an email to all your financial um, prospects who have said no to you, and you say, hey, on October 25th, we're going to have a SOC 2 vendor who is going to be talking to the CEOs of the financial industry because they need to be SOC 2 compliant. And these are the new rules coming down the pipe, et cetera, right? So you want to educate your prospects that are in specific industries. So
Well,
that's another.
I
Go ahead.
disagree with a little bit there. I wouldn't tell anyone that you're going to introduce them to a vendor. I would stick with the hiding behind the spirit of education. I'd say we're going to have an industry expert talk about cybersecurity versus I got this vendor I want you to listen to. I mean, that's just the worst possible thing. I don't want to do that. But I
Sure.
wouldn't mind possibly hearing a cybersecurity expert from a company, Cyber Yaya or whatever, talking about two-factor authentication, even though it's hidden under the guise of that guy's going to try to sell me something. I kind of know that, but it doesn't. I don't want to hear it, right? I don't want anybody to
Yeah.
tell me, "Hey, come listen to these sales guys."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. No. I agree. I mean, the messaging has to be educated, in a form that is educational. It's informative. But yeah, if you make it too salesy, you're right. They're going to be turned off. You don't want to be in that position of like, oh my God, this guy's always trying to sell me something. But if I go to a webinar where I'm going to learn something, yes, you will get more butts to the seats.
Yeah, I think it's way better to tell somebody, how to break into a padlock, than it is to say, here's a locksmith who's going to try to sell you on his services.
Yep.
It's like, ooh, that sounds interesting. I want to learn how to do that. And then versus, oh, I have to go listen to this locksmith trying to sell me shit. I don't want it. So
Yeah.
Don't invite me to that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. No, I know, man. Nobody wants to be sold. Nobody wants to be on this constant solicitation list. I get it. I'm spammed to hell and back. And I know I don't get as many emails as you do, so I'm not as annoyed, right? You're getting every alert, every freaking ticket that's opened, and I know how it can be on your end, but I get it. I get it. I get so much spam, but I understand that people don't like to be sold 24/7. So, but I think that's it. I think I've hit on every point, and I really appreciate your list of what you don't like about marketing firms, because it adds a little comedy level to it, because it's kind of funny, but it's very true. And I appreciate your honest input, because it's needed. These guys want to hear it. You think just like them. So I appreciate you giving us some feedback on this model. I've gotten 3 messages in the past 30 minutes of CEOs of MSP saying, "Sign me up for that model."
Well, I'll
They're
tell
like,
you.
"We want to be on this list," and I don't blame them, because it's something new. It's not something that has ever been out in the market. And, you know, Richard Race can thank me later, because I developed it. He gave me something that was a rough model, but I took it and I polished it, and I said, "This is what you're going to deliver. This is what MSPs will find valuable," because it's a lot of these guys struggle. You know how they struggle with marketing. Marketing is not easy. We've mastered it. We know what works. And but a lot of these guys still have to be convinced that SEO is the right choice for their business.
Well,
And once they
I'll tell you the fourth thing I hate about marketing people. When I owned a restaurant, I was selling food and drinks to people all day long, right?
Yeah.
And I was just selling, selling, selling. That's what I was doing 24 hours a day. And because I had a 24 by 7 cafe. So when someone came in and they like tried to sell me something, I was insulted by it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, I'm selling here, not you.
Yeah.
There's an appropriate time and place for you to sell things to me, and it's not while I'm selling my own products and gear.
Yeah.
And what I had to do was teach myself that you have to open your mind a little bit up to the sales process, because if you shut down every single sales thing that comes your way, you're sometimes you're shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah, there are cheaper alternatives, there are things that can be done easier, faster, better, but you have to open up your mind a little bit
Well,
versus always being in one mode and sell. I got to be the seller. I've only I can be the seller.
so let me explain how I was able to talk a prospect into accepting a more expensive solution. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So the conversation went like this, because this is how important the sales process is. And a lot of these guys don't seem to understand it, but hopefully this illustration will give them a visual of what they need to do. So I'm on this call with these two, a CEO and another founder on a call, and I'm going through the sales process. I go, why are we speaking? Well, we're unhappy with our current white label partner. Well, why are you unhappy? Well, they're this, and they just gave me a long list. And I'm like, okay. I go, and we got to the to the last question, and I said, okay, based on what you guys have told me, I know we can do a good job. I know we can deliver a quality service, and I know we'll outperform your the current incumbent. I go, but we're more expensive. And here, let me share my screen with you, because I'm going to build the package you just described of on what our cost would be to what, and I'm going to show you what I would charge you. I haven't asked you what you pay right now. Haven't asked you. I'm not asking you for a budget. but I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you to waste my time. So I said, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to plug in numbers, and at the bottom, it's going to come out with a cost. And then you can tell me, yeah, I could afford this. This fits within our budget. So we go through the exercise. We get to the bottom, and he goes line item by line item, and we give him the price. And he goes, ooh, that's like 50% more than what I'm paying. I go, so okay, so let's just throw a number out there. I go, so you're paying, let's say I said $30 per user. Let's just throw that number out there. I go, and how much are you paying? He goes, I'm paying $20 per user. I need you to match $20. I go, okay, so what you're telling me is that you have a champagne budget. You want champagne on a beer budget. I go, you're not going to get that from me. I'm not selling champagne on a beer budget. I'm going to give you champagne on a champagne budget. I go, but because we want to land you, we want you to be our client, and we going to bring us more business. I'm willing to knock off X percent to not meet you halfway, but to give you a discount that might make you happy. I go, would $28 a user make you happy? Would it make you happy if the quality of service increases by, let's say, 50%, 75%? He goes, yeah, I would be a lot happier. I go, well, if you want to pay for happiness, if you want to be happier, if you want your clients to be happier, if you want to increase client retention, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. Because I'm not going to come down on my prices. I'll come down a little, but I'm not going to come down much because we're not going to operate on a beer budget. We operate on a champagne budget. And if you want to go to another vendor, God bless you. You're more than welcome. But you now know my prices. But we're committed to giving you a quality service at this cost. And he gave me a little bit of a hard time, but he agreed to the rate. He said, I'll accept that rate. If you're going to deliver a quality service, I will happily pay that rate. My margins won't be as much, but I will have a happier client, and I will keep my clients because they're bleeding clients right now because they're unhappy. They're going with other IT groups. So that's how that sales process went.
Well, we always talk, you and I, about fast, cheap, and good.
Yep.
Which one do you want? Which one do you want?
I always
Fast, cheap,
love
or
this.
good?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You can only get what? Two of the
One
three,
of them.
right?
Only
What?
one. Only one.
Oh, okay. No, no, no. If you want it cheap, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, if you want it fast, it's not going to be it's not going to be good. If you want it good, it's not going to be cheap. If you want it cheap, it's not going to be fast. Whatever.
Yeah.
They all feed off of one another.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, no, no. I like that example because it's so true. And it's that you're not the only person that has said that. I've heard that on a webinar, and other sales executives give that same example because you cannot get cheap and good, right? I think they're slow. I think you have slow in there also, but that they don't go together, right? But yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Well, we've been going on for a while here, buddy. So anything else you want to share, because we're coming to the end here?
No, that's it.
Okay. Hey guys, thanks for listening, and don't forget to sign up to be a member on www.mspcorner.com. Please share our link with a CEO of an MSP who will find our information beneficial to their IT service firm. And thanks again. Have a great night.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to sign up to be a member on www.mspcorner.com. Please share our link with a CEO who will find our information beneficial to their business. Have an awesome day.